How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. More Bitcoin than ever is now dormant. Here's what that means. Really, the author's pretty indecisive. Even as Bitcoin surges to levels not seen in months, hodling will never go out of style. More than half of the coins in existence have not moved in over 2 years, according to recent figures, which is a new all-time high. Blockchain data firm Glassnode told Decrypt that the amount of Bitcoin, which moved more than 2 years ago, currently stands at 53.14. So, a little more than half of Bitcoin in current supply, which is 10.2 million, has not moved in the last 2 years or more. Arkham Intelligence CEO Miguel Moore told Decrypt that dormant coins often find their way back to circulation over time, but he says through all the shakeups there are buyers and sellers, no matter what, and he says sometimes those coins never come back to the market, so he kind of double talks himself here, and says that Bitcoin is still, for a long time, can also be attributed to lost coins. A common problem for amateur investors is forgetting the private keys to their digital wallet. With a lot of people trying to offload to a ledger, there is a possibility that some of the coins are lost and might be on ledgers that people forgot their private keys to. That's why you want to make sure you have your private keys written down somewhere safe and you don't lose them. And it's important to not forget those and your PIN. Because at least if you know your PIN, you can get in, do your transactions. Your private keys are more if you forget your PIN to recover everything. So, that's about it for that article. New tax rules could mean the US exodus for crypto companies and pretty much any tech company. A change to the R&D credit rules under Section 174 was passed as a part of the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, but was deferred until 2023, and is triggering massive tax bills for already cash flow strapped companies, and we'll show an example of that in this article as well. The new R&D laws overlay broad language that states any and all software development must be amortized over 5 years if the development took place in the United States, or over 15 years if the work was done overseas. What that means is that a company has to take a portion of what they would get in a number of years. So if you got $500,000 back, you would get $100,000 for every 5 years. It doesn't quite work like that, but that's somewhat how you can think. This example will kind of explain how it works a little better. Many countries have better R&D credits than the US, most of which US software development will shift to countries such as the United Kingdom, where the rules are simpler and more lucrative. For tax-smart companies, US entities will just be for marketing and sales. So by making this amortized rate of return, where you can't get your return that year, and companies have to suffer losses longer, they're most likely going to move to other companies, and you'll only see the marketing sides of the companies. Imagine a company that lost over $1 million but owes over $300,000 in taxes. How is that possible? This hypothetical company has roughly $2.5 million in income, and in 2022 spent $1.5 million building its software and $1 million in other costs, meaning it had negative cash flow totaling $1 million. However, because the $1.5 million of development was done by a team in India, you'll only see $50,000 from the software development side, leaving a $1,050,000 deduction to offset the $2.5 million of income this year, meaning it owes taxes on $1,450,000 in net income, or bankrupting $304,500 in taxes. So, because they aren't able to get their tax credit and they had to wait another 14 years to get the rest of that $300,000, they are going to have to fork that money over. And if they were to do any additional R&D, this would be the case for future years. So that could cause a stifling environment for R&D for tech companies if this tax law is going to go through. Robert F. Kennedy joins Ron DeSantis in railing against CBDCs. As potential candidates fine-tune their platforms in anticipation of the 2024 presidential campaign, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. jumped on the board of the CBDC hate train last week to join Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Candidates who's filed papers to run as a Democrat in the upcoming presidential election rang warning bells on Twitter, appearing to lump the launch of the Fed now with that of a central bank digital currency, also known as the CBDC, which he said would grease the slippery slope to financial slavery and political tyranny. This is something that Republicans have been kind of ringing the bells of for quite some time, so it's nice to see some bipartisan people starting to ring these bells as well. His comments parallel those of several Republican lawmakers that have skewed CBDCs as an affront to financial privacy rights or potentially prone to restricting everyday purchases, bringing a bipartisan tinge on the issue that's been largely politicized by conservative voices. A CBDC tied to a digital ID, a social credit score, would allow the government to freeze all your assets or limit your spending. While cash transactions are anonymous, a CBDC would allow the government to surveil all our private financial affairs. So basically, when we had the lockdowns, they could say, hey, you can't leave your house and go to this store, you have to go to this store. So they could control you to the very ability of moving, kind of like they do in China. The Fed claimed it is not launching a CBDC when its FedNow payment service is expected to come online in July. It said that the system for instant settlement between financial institutions isn't a replacement for cash either. So the Fed's saying, hey, we're not launching a CBDC, but I don't know if I really trust the Fed too much. So for our futures, or our interest rates, some people are trying to put articles out there saying we'll get a 50-point rate hike, but currently the high probability is a 25-point hike with more probability of no hike. So we're in this 4.5% or 4.75% to 5% base rate, and a 0.25% interest would put us at 5 to 5.25% base rate. If we were to do a 50 BP increase, it would put us in this bracket, but you can see that's at 0%, which dropped from 1 month ago. So this is something to watch to like the next couple days. So price is heading up. Everyone thinks I'm nuts because we've been running up and I say we're going to drop. But I covered that on our gap. So we do have potential to get up to that 34K zone. Like I've been saying, we broke out of this golden pocket. Watch our golden pocket video. Golden pockets, you tend to get a big move out, and then you can get a big move back in, as they're a real big zone for manipulation. And that's what we've been seeing lately. Our momentum wave is starting to kind of curl off. Stochastic's starting to curl off. Money flow's kind of tapered out, and our VWAP is heading down. So I'd say overall we look somewhat bearish, even though we're trying to push up. We have a long lower shadow candle here that was preceded by this long upper shadow candle, so we invalidated a bullish candle. So if we get a drop from here, that would confirm this bearish candle, as a long lower shadow means that, at the top of a pattern, it can mean that sellers have tried to push us down and buyers managed to push us up, but it can also signal that the buyers weren't able to really gain too much control, and sellers are starting to gain strength, as you see the wicks not going higher, and our momentum is starting to come down. So that's why you want to wait for that confirmation for some sort of a red candle, but with the way Bitcoin moves, it'd likely be a big volatile candle like these ones. So this is over on the 4 hour, so we'll take a look at the daily real quick. Over on the daily, our momentum did invalidate that divergence I was showing yesterday, so that is a positive sign for us on the daily. Our money flow is coming up, VWAP is coming up, kind of getting signs that it could curl. Like I said, this big blue wave coming here kind of is reminiscent of when you'll start to curl off. So this could be a decent take profit zone. We did reject that 30.4 resistance area that we had. Our RSI is starting to round off, our stochastics running up. So overall, we are looking pretty decent here. We are above our high value area, so it is a riskier area to take any kind of long positions. But that chance is still there, like I said, on the futures. You can see we're starting to set in some red pressure here with these red bars forming on our volume profile. So that's showing that sellers are picking up some strength. Sellers have quite a bit of strength right in here. That's where they're currently pushing us down, or trying to keep us from going. That's where this candle opened. So this is the main area they have control. Another area you can kind of see is right here at the top of our current candle. They're kind of just sandwiching. The bears are trying to sandwich us in between here. We do have a rising wedge. Rising wedges are a bearish pattern that break you down. So this could bring us down to around 30K. Nothing too exciting. We already went over the indicators on the 4-hour, but overall they're looking like they're starting to come down to me. Over on the 2-hour, momentum's coming out. Stochastic is beat down. We're extremely oversold right now. So our RSI is going to start losing strength if that doesn't make a turnaround. Money flow is bullish, so we got that money flow in all 3 time zones. Like I've said before, that's when you'll get those big moves up. So if you're watching for that, then good move. Our VWAP is kind of just beat down. Doesn't really know where it wants to go. Just hanging out under that neutral zone on the 2-hour. We're going to want to see some movement off of this. If we look at the 1-hour, we're kind of flopping around with that VWAP, so not very much of a signal. We are above the neutral zone. Not sure what that was about. Stochastic's starting to curl down. Momentum's coming down, highlighting bearish divergences. Our RSI is starting to come down. Our price is going up. So the 1-hour is starting to highlight bearish divergences. So we'll have to see if those divergences continue to spill, or if we just start to lose this area, as we are fighting that support right now. So it could be a possible breakdown right around here if we're not careful. So we'll have to see if this, and our money flow is starting to sharply come down currently, so that's a little concerning. You want to watch that and see if that continues. If that continues and the VWAP breaks, that would be a bearish sign for us. Our momentum's coming down. We do have that green dot though that kind of printed after the bearish divergence to invalidate it, but we're currently getting a bearish engulfing candle. So very mixed signals here. Over on the daily for graph, we got pretty decent sized retracement candle here. Stochastic's making lower highs, starting to curl over. RSI is pointing down. Our momentum wave's kind of rolling over here. VWAP looks like it's starting to kind of taper out, kind of like Bitcoin's was. Our money flow is heading down. So overall, I'd say we're pretty bearish here on graph. Our stochastic's heading down, RSI is heading down, momentum's curling down. Money flow rejected across to the neutral, our bullish zone on the 4-hour. And our VWAP is heading down. Kind of at the same rate of our money flow heading down. So overall, we're looking pretty bearish. If we lose this support zone, then I'd say we could possibly retest this like 13.3 area, possibly 13.5, somewhere in this zone, as we have decent bounces that have gone there before. Over on the 2-hour, if we take a look here, we are somewhat trying to head up in a rising channel as we're making higher highs and higher lows. Rising channels can be a bearish pattern, so I'd be a little wary of that. Our momentum is coming down pretty aggressively. Stochastic's coming down pretty aggressively. Money flows in the bearish zone. Our VWAP is heading down and our RSI is heading down. We have a manipulation X that printed a candle ago, and we're starting off with a red candle from that. So overall, we're not looking the greatest here on the 2-hour either. Over on the 1-hour, our money flow is in the bullish territory, but seems to be having issues carrying over. Our VWAP is just rejecting crossing, doesn't want to make a cross. It keeps trying, it's overall heading up, but just can't seem to cross. Our RSI is heading down, and our momentum is heading down. It keeps trying to curl up, but it keeps just dropping away from that. So that's something we could see on the inverse on Bitcoin. Like I mentioned, that big white wave. If we just keep plowing down, we could just kind of have that wave pull in on the upper side. So we do have that chance. Over on ankr for the daily, we got a slight rejection from our high value area after trying to break it. RSI is kind of flattening out. Stochastic's flattening out. Momentum's trying to come up. VWAP's trying to come up. And our money flow is kind of stuck just under that neutral zone here. So we're not looking the greatest with the way that money flow is. Hopefully at the lower time frames, the money flow can start to get some bullish signals. Over on the 4 hour, money flow did reject back here, crossing bullish, so that is a bearish sign, and it's been heading down overall. VWAP's heading down currently, momentum's coming down with a red dot. RSI is trying to head up, so that the RSI is trying to work against these bearish signals. The stochastic's taking a bit of a breather and starting to kind of veer off pretty strongly, so we could see it drop off here. So I kind of want to watch the next few candles to see how things play out and if we can get some support in here or not. Stochastic's trying to curl up here on the 2 hour. Money flow keeps trying to break bearish. It's having a hard time holding either direction. That's pretty much been the case for quite some time now. VWAP's heading down, and our RSI is overall losing strength. So overall, most of our indicators seem to be losing strength ever so slightly. 1 hour, our RSI is heading down with price heading up. Stochastic's heading down with price heading up. And our momentum's heading down with price coming up. So overall, we're getting a lot of divergences here. Momentum tried to curl up, but it's getting a red dot that could invalidate that move up and bring us lower. Our money flow tried to make a decent run up here on the 1 hour, but it's starting to sharply come down, and our VWAP's starting to test that neutral zone. Stochastic tried to make a bullish cross, but it's kind of flattening out. So if we don't get a bit of a push on the next couple of candles, like probably next few hours, then we could see some continued move down and possibly retest the support at 3479 here. So watch out for that. Over on XRP, we pretty much got our full breakout of this triangle that we had. So I'm going to delete it, at least delete the breakout, and that. We're going to leave the support because it seems to be working for us for now until we manage to veer away from it. Kind of like I had for ankr, I'm going to leave it here. Our momentum is trying to come up. RSI is kind of flat. Stochastic's trying to make a bullish cross. VWAP's trying to head up, and our money flow rejected across to the bearish side, and it's kind of flat above that neutral zone. We'll want to see it start to pick up here if we're going to get any push. It's pretty much flattened out because of this doji candle here, which dojis represent indecision. So over on the 4 hour here, our momentum's coming down, stochastic's coming down and spreading apart, but it looks like we could get some sort of curl. Not guaranteed to make a cross, but we'll have to see. Our RSI is kind of trying to curl up here, somewhat flattening out. If that can start to curl up and our stochastic curls up, that would be a bullish sign for us. Our money flow tried to cross bullish, but didn't manage to confirm. But we haven't really confirmed much of a bearish cross either. We're kind of just riding this neutral zone like everything else. VWAP is bearish, but kind of flattened out here. So overall, we're pretty indecisive, trying to make a bounce off this support. This is a little bit rounding, so if we do break it, it's a good chance we could come down to around this 50 cent area again. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic looks like it wants to try and curl up. Money flow is trying to make a break up. Our VWAP's trying to head up. RSI is trying to head up, but is overall losing ground. So I'd be a little worrisome about this if this cross doesn't give us any momentum and this money flow doesn't start to pick up from here. Our momentum's also kind of trying to curl here. Kind of hard to see the way the stochastic is, but it's somewhat starting to curl. If we can flatten out and start to curl up, that would be a good sign for us. Over on the 1 hour, we kind of just dropped in the bearish zone with momentum, and we do have a green dot here, so we could try to curl up and come up. Kind of hard to see if it's curling or not. We'll want to watch if that starts to curl away or not. Stochastic's trying to head up, but it's really tight together. RSI is kind of flat because it doesn't have much strength. Our money flow overall is in the green, so we do have a bullish trend here. Our VWAP is trying to head up, so our medium term is trying to get a push upwards. So that is a positive sign, but we'll kind of have to watch the next few candles, see if anything kind of pops out. This might be a bit of a rising wedge here, so I'd be cautious of that, as a rising wedge would break us down and probably make us break this support level. Last but not least, for algo, we rejected the point of control today. Our money flow is well into the bearish zone. VWAP and momentum are trying to run up though. Stochastic's falling, RSI is pretty flat, so we're not really doing too great here. Over on the 4-hour, we're kind of rounding off here after trying to get a bullish push. Stochastic's starting to head down, RSI is starting to head down, momentum's coming down with a red dot, and our money flow might cross bearish. Our VWAP is starting to break into the bearish territory. So overall, it looks like we could test this bearish zone. That seems to be the theme of the night. Stochastic's trying to curl on this 2-hour, kind of like everything else. Money flow doesn't know where it wants to be. It is somewhat heading bearish, so watch out for that. Our VWAP is coming down. Our RSI is coming down. And we have a manipulation X that could confirm soon. So overall, we look pretty bearish here on the 2-hour. Over on the 1-hour, our money flow is somewhat bullish, but it's really not gaining much momentum. RSI is coming down, Stochastic's beat down, our VWAP's in the bearish zone but trying to curl up, and our momentum overall is coming down. So overall, it looks like we're losing some ground here to me. So I'd be a little cautious. Everything looks a little on edge. If we get rejected here, it's easy. We could fill those lower gaps that we talked about. But if we manage to break this level, then it's likely we'll fill that higher gap. But if we don't fill that higher gap now, it's likely we could fill it later, after we fill the other gaps. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.